As we grow older, managing our health becomes less about following trends and more about making smart, consistent choices. For seniors, especially those concerned with energy levels, weight control, and diabetes risk, one of the most overlooked threats might be hiding in plain sight: high-glycemic foods. These are the foods that digest quickly, spike your blood sugar, and quietly wreak havoc on your body's delicate balance. And the truth is, many of them are disguised as everyday staples, foods we've trusted for decades. But here's why this matters now more than ever. As we age, our bodies become more sensitive to fluctuations in blood sugar. The pancreas may not produce insulin as effectively, and our cells don't respond to insulin the way they used to. That means every sharp rise in glucose can lead to more stress on the body, increasing inflammation, damaging blood vessels, and accelerating conditions like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and cognitive decline. The glycemic index, a measure of how quickly a food raises blood sugar, has become an essential tool for understanding which foods support your health and which ones quietly undermine it. For seniors, avoiding high glycemic foods isn't just about dieting. It's about protecting long-term energy, brain function, and independence. In today's video, we'll break down 5 of the most harmful, high glycemic foods that seniors should avoid or limit, especially if you're managing diabetes or looking to keep your blood sugar stable. These aren't just bad foods. They're common ones that might already be in your kitchen. We'll explain why they're dangerous, what they do inside your body, and offer easy, senior-friendly alternatives that taste just as good without the damaging spikes. You'll also hear real-life stories from older adults across the United States who made simple food swaps and saw real improvements in their glucose numbers, their energy, and even their mood. Because when it comes to healthy aging, every bite matters. And understanding which foods to leave off your plate may be just as important as the ones you include. Let's get started. 1. White bread, a staple that spikes blood sugar. For many seniors, white bread has been a breakfast or sandwich staple for decades. It's soft, convenient, and feels familiar. But what most don't realize is that white bread is one of the worst high glycemic foods when it comes to blood sugar control, especially for older adults. Despite its harmless appearance, white bread digests almost as quickly as table sugar, leading to rapid spikes in glucose levels, followed by sharp crashes that can leave you tired, irritable, and even dizzy. Why is white bread so problematic for seniors? First, it's made from refined white flour, which has been stripped of fiber, vitamins, and minerals. Without fiber to slow digestion, the starches in white bread convert to glucose almost immediately after eating. For seniors whose insulin response may already be sluggish, this creates a double challenge: more sugar entering the bloodstream and less efficiency in clearing it out. Over time, repeated blood sugar spikes can worsen insulin resistance, increase inflammation, and accelerate the progression of type 2 diabetes. It can also impact memory, cause energy dips, and increase cravings, pushing seniors into a dangerous cycle of blood sugar volatility. Let's look at a real-life example. Eleanor "Ellie" Chamberlain, an 80-year-old widow from Lubbock, Texas, always started her mornings with 2 slices of toasted white bread, a little butter, and jam. It was her daily comfort ritual. But despite her efforts to manage her prediabetes through medication, her blood sugar remained stubbornly high. Her doctor recommended she start tracking her glucose levels before and after meals. That's when Ellie noticed something surprising. Her breakfast caused a 60-point spike in her blood sugar within 45 minutes. Feeling alarmed, she worked with a dietitian who explained the glycemic index and how high glycemic foods like white bread were sabotaging her progress. Ellie made a simple change. She switched to whole grain sprouted bread, which is lower on the glycemic index and contains more fiber and nutrients. Within a month, her post-meal glucose levels improved dramatically. She also reported fewer cravings and more energy in the late morning hours. The lesson? Sometimes it's not about cutting out carbs entirely. It's about choosing smarter carbs. For seniors, replacing white bread with fiber-rich alternatives can make a significant difference. Look for 100% whole grain or sprouted grain breads, with at least 3 grams of fiber per slice and minimal added sugar. Brands that list whole wheat or whole rye as the first ingredient are typically safer choices. And don't forget about portion size. Even with better bread, 2 large slices may still be too much for your body to handle at once. Try making open-faced sandwiches, or pair 1 slice with protein like egg or avocado to slow digestion and stabilize blood sugar. Among the most dangerous high-glycemic foods for seniors, white bread is deceptively common. But with just a small shift in your daily habits, you can protect your body from glucose spikes and support long-term vitality, 1 sandwich at a time. 2. Instant rice, the quick side dish that causes a slow decline. For many seniors, convenience becomes a key part of daily meal planning, and few foods are more convenient than instant rice. It's fast, it's easy to prepare, and it seems harmless. But what most don't realize is that instant rice ranks shockingly high on the glycemic index, often reaching levels similar to pure glucose. That means it causes blood sugar to spike rapidly, making it one of the most deceptive high-glycemic foods on a senior's plate. Why is instant rice such a problem? Unlike traditional brown or wild rice, instant rice has been pre-cooked and heavily processed to reduce cooking time. This process breaks down the starches, removing the fibrous structure that would normally slow digestion. As a result, your body absorbs the sugars quickly, leading to rapid blood sugar spikes that can trigger fatigue, brain fog, or a hunger crash just an hour or 2 later. For seniors managing prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, these kinds of fluctuations can be especially harmful. Repeated glucose surges increase oxidative stress and inflammation, placing more strain on the blood vessels, kidneys, and nerves, all areas already vulnerable with age. Let's meet someone who learned this the hard way. Harold Fitzpatrick, an energetic 76-year-old former high school football coach from Dayton, Ohio, prided himself on cooking his own meals. He frequently made chicken and instant rice for dinner, thinking it was a balanced meal. But during a regular checkup, his A1C came back elevated, despite no changes to his overall diet. His endocrinologist suggested keeping a food journal and monitoring his glucose levels after meals. To his surprise, Harold found that every time he ate instant rice, his blood sugar readings would skyrocket, sometimes by more than 80 points. He hadn't realized that instant rice was a high-glycemic food capable of triggering such a response. Determined to regain control, he switched to long-grain brown rice and began pairing smaller portions with vegetables and healthy fats like olive oil. Within 3 months, his post-meal glucose levels had stabilized, and his energy no longer crashed by bedtime. "I thought I was eating healthy," Harold said, "but the speed of convenience nearly threw me off track." For seniors, the key takeaway is that not all rice is created equal. Instant rice may save time, but it often costs long-term health. Instead, opt for whole grain varieties such as brown rice, wild rice, or black rice. These contain more fiber, antioxidants, and nutrients that help slow the absorption of glucose and reduce inflammation. Another tip? Pay attention to preparation and portion sizes. Even healthier rices can raise blood sugar if eaten in large quantities or paired with sugary sauces. Aim for a half-cup serving, cooked, and balance it with non-starchy vegetables and lean protein to help regulate your glycemic response. Among the high-glycemic foods seniors should avoid, instant rice often flies under the radar. But making the switch to whole grains is a simple, sustainable change that can help protect your heart, your brain, and your energy throughout the day. Number 3. Flavored instant oatmeal, a sweet start that sabotages blood sugar. Oatmeal often gets praised as a healthy breakfast option, and rightfully so. When it's made from whole rolled oats or steel-cut oats, it offers fiber, antioxidants, and sustained energy. But there's a catch. Flavored instant oatmeal, the kind that comes in single-serve packets with added sugars and artificial flavors, is one of the most misleading high-glycemic foods on grocery shelves, especially dangerous for seniors trying to manage their blood sugar. Why is this type of oatmeal such a problem? It's all in the processing and the sugar. Instant oatmeal is made from oats that have been pre-cooked, dried, and chopped very finely so they cook in under a minute. While convenient, this processing increases the glycemic index significantly. Add in the 10 to 15 grams of added sugar typically found in maple and brown sugar or apple cinnamon flavors, and you're starting your day with a recipe for a glucose spike. For seniors, breakfast is an especially important meal. It sets the tone for energy levels, focus, and blood sugar stability throughout the day. But starting the day with high glycemic foods like flavored instant oatmeal can trigger a spike in glucose, followed by a mid-morning crash that leads to fatigue, irritability, and even more cravings. Let's take the example of Dorothy "Dottie" Hammond, a 79-year-old retired piano teacher from Burlington, Vermont. Dottie loved her morning routine: a steaming bowl of instant oatmeal with raisins, a splash of milk, and a side of orange juice. But despite her efforts to stay active and follow her doctor's guidance, she couldn't seem to stabilize her glucose. Her morning levels were always high, and she often felt sleepy before lunch. When her granddaughter, a nutrition student, visited one weekend, they reviewed the ingredients on the oatmeal box together. "Graham," she said, "you're basically eating dessert for breakfast." That struck a nerve. Dottie swapped her flavored instant oatmeal for slow-cooked rolled oats and topped them with chia seeds, unsweetened almond milk, and fresh blueberries. Within just a few weeks, her morning blood sugar readings dropped by over 30 points, and she no longer needed a nap before noon. For other seniors, the message is clear. Not all oatmeal is created equal. Flavored instant oatmeal may be easy and comforting, but it acts like a sugary cereal in disguise. Instead, choose rolled or steel-cut oats that take a little longer to cook but offer a much lower glycemic impact. Better yet, soak oats overnight for even slower digestion and smoother glucose response. To flavor your oatmeal naturally, add cinnamon, a few slices of banana or apple, and a handful of nuts or seeds. These additions provide fiber, healthy fats, and antioxidants, all of which help stabilize blood sugar and reduce inflammation. Avoid topping with syrup or brown sugar, and read nutrition labels carefully. Many healthy-looking packets contain more sugar than a candy bar. Among high-glycemic foods that seniors must avoid, flavored instant oatmeal is especially deceptive. It looks healthy, it feels wholesome, but for your metabolism and insulin sensitivity, it's a morning trap. Choosing better grains and natural sweeteners can help you reclaim your breakfast and your health. 4. Potatoes, a comfort food that can disrupt blood sugar. For many Americans, especially seniors, potatoes have long been a dinner-time comfort food. Mashed, baked, roasted, or fried, they show up on the table more often than not. But despite their wholesome image, white potatoes are surprisingly high on the glycemic index, and in certain preparations, they act just like sugar in the body. That makes them one of the most common high-glycemic foods that seniors should limit or avoid to maintain stable blood sugar. Why are potatoes problematic? The answer lies in their starch content and how they're cooked. A plain boiled potato has a high glycemic index score, usually between 78 and 90, depending on the variety. But when potatoes are baked, mashed, or especially fried, the starches become more accessible and convert to glucose rapidly in the bloodstream. For seniors whose insulin sensitivity may already be diminished, this creates a metabolic overload that can result in glucose spikes, followed by inflammation and energy crashes. Let's meet someone who experienced this firsthand. Bernard Bernie Goldstein, an 82-year-old retired pharmacist from Eugene, Oregon, always considered himself a balanced eater. But he loved potatoes. Breakfast meant hash browns, lunch often included potato salad, and dinner almost always featured mashed or baked potatoes with butter. Bernie was surprised when his doctor told him his fasting glucose was creeping upward and that his A1C had entered the pre-diabetic range. "I thought I was avoiding sugar," Bernie said. "Turns out, I was eating it in disguise." With guidance from a diabetes educator, Bernie started tracking his blood sugar after meals. He quickly realized that meals with potatoes caused significant post-meal spikes. The educator explained that while potatoes aren't unhealthy for everyone, they are among the high-glycemic foods that can create serious challenges for seniors managing insulin resistance. Bernie didn't have to give up potatoes entirely, but he did learn how to enjoy them in smarter ways. He switched from white potatoes to small portions of sweet potatoes, which have a lower glycemic index due to their fiber and antioxidant content. He also started cooling his potatoes before eating, a trick that transforms some of the starch into resistant starch, which digests more slowly and has a lower impact on blood sugar. Over 3 months, Bernie's A1C dropped back into a safe range and he felt more energized after meals. So what should other seniors take away from this? First, if you love potatoes, don't panic. The key is moderation, preparation, and smart swaps. Instead of large portions of mashed potatoes with butter and cream, opt for roasted, sweet potatoes with the skin on. Use herbs and spices for flavor instead of loading on salt or sour cream. And if you do enjoy regular potatoes, try boiling and then cooling them before adding them to a salad. This reduces the glycemic impact through resistant starch formation. Another tip for seniors managing blood sugar: always balance your starch with fiber and protein. That means pairing a small serving of potatoes with a green vegetable like broccoli and a lean protein like chicken or fish. This combination slows digestion and lessens the blood sugar response. Among high glycemic foods that feel safe, potatoes are among the most misleading. For seniors, understanding how common foods affect your metabolism is crucial. With a few thoughtful changes, you can still enjoy your meals while protecting your long-term health and glucose stability. Number 5. Fruit juices. Nature's sugar bomb in a glass. Fruit is often seen as nature's candy, and for good reason. It contains natural sugars, antioxidants, and vitamins. But when fruit is processed into juice, especially store-bought varieties, it quickly transforms from a health food into one of the most dangerous high-glycemic foods for seniors. That's because most fruit juices, even the ones labeled 100% natural, are highly concentrated in sugar, stripped of fiber, and capable of spiking blood sugar just as rapidly as soda. Let's take orange juice as an example. A single 8-ounce glass contains about 25 to 30 grams of sugar, the equivalent of 7 teaspoons. Without the fiber found in whole fruit to slow absorption, these natural sugars flood the bloodstream quickly, causing a dramatic spike in blood glucose. For older adults, this can be especially harmful, as insulin response is often weaker with age, and excess sugar can linger in the blood longer than it should. This kind of sugar surge doesn't just impact diabetes risk. It can also increase inflammation, promote weight gain around the abdomen, and contribute to energy crashes and mood swings throughout the day. For seniors who may already be balancing other conditions like hypertension, joint pain, or cognitive decline, sugar volatility from juice can quietly worsen the bigger picture. Consider the experience of Frank Torres, a 75-year-old retired city planner from Santa Rosa, California. Frank believed he was doing everything right. He cut out cookies, avoided soda, and walked every morning. But his blood sugar remained unstable, and his doctor couldn't figure out why until they reviewed his typical breakfast. Every day, Frank drank a tall glass of apple juice alongside his whole wheat toast and eggs. A quick check of the label revealed the problem. The apple juice he was drinking had 34 grams of sugar per serving, more than a can of cola. And since he wasn't eating whole fruit, he missed out on fiber that helps prevent glucose spikes. His doctor recommended switching to actual apples instead of juice and encouraged him to hydrate with water or unsweetened herbal tea. Frank made the switch and saw results within weeks. His post-breakfast blood sugar readings dropped by nearly 40 points, and he reported better focus in the morning and fewer episodes of afternoon fatigue. Most importantly, he realized that not all healthy choices are created equal. For other seniors, the message is this: fruit juices are not the same as fruit. While they may contain vitamins, they also come loaded with sugar and zero fiber, making them among the worst high-glycemic foods you can consume, especially on an empty stomach. If you crave the taste of juice, try diluting it with water or infusing plain water with slices of fresh citrus, cucumber, or berries. Even juices labeled no added sugar or organic can still spike blood sugar, so read labels carefully. Better yet, reach for a whole piece of fruit, like an orange, an apple, or a handful of grapes, which provides sweetness in its natural package, complete with fiber and water to support digestion and glucose balance. For seniors who are focused on healthy aging, managing diabetes, or maintaining energy, avoiding sugary drinks like fruit juice is one of the simplest yet most powerful steps you can take. It's not about giving up flavor. It's about choosing the version of food that works with your body, not against it. Navigating health in your senior years isn't about following fads or adopting extreme diets. It's about making consistent, informed choices that support your body's natural rhythms. And when it comes to blood sugar, few choices matter more than the foods we eat every single day. As we've explored in this video, high-glycemic foods like white bread, instant rice, flavored oatmeal, potatoes, and fruit juices may seem harmless, even familiar. But for seniors, these foods often trigger dangerous spikes in blood sugar that increase the risk of insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and long-term complications affecting the heart, brain, and nervous system. But here's the good news. Awareness is the first step to transformation. Once you recognize these hidden culprits, you can start making gentle, sustainable shifts, like swapping instant oatmeal for steel-cut oats, or choosing a whole piece of fruit instead of a glass of juice. These aren't drastic changes. They're simple, powerful adjustments that help protect your metabolism, reduce inflammation, and support steady energy throughout the day. For older adults living in the United States, Canada, Australia, and other English-speaking countries, food culture often prioritizes convenience and tradition. But understanding how those traditions affect your body today is key to living longer, stronger, and with more independence. Remember, managing blood sugar isn't just for people with diabetes. It's for anyone who wants to age with vitality, prevent chronic illness, and feel more in control of their well-being. By limiting high-glycemic foods, you're not just avoiding short-term discomfort, you're investing in long-term resilience. If this video helped you better understand how food affects your health, let us know in the comments below. Have you made any of these swaps? What worked best for you? We'd love to hear your experience, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Active Healthcare, your trusted companion in heart health, blood sugar balance, and joyful senior living. Every small change you make brings you closer to a healthier, more energized life. And we'll be here with you every step of the way.